It's been a tough winter, I guess. When we last spoke, we had made the decision to put the project back in terms of its implementation. There was a few reasons behind that. It was very difficult to get boats. A lot of the guys that we would use were either caught with weather or were held up for other contracted work that they had. Mainly governed by the constraints of the protected nature of the building and the island. We had to make some design modifications for efficiency reasons, but also for safety, appropriate venting and so on. So the decision was made that to be compliant, that we would go to the local authorities and just seek permission to change some of the details as per previously granted. It was definitely the right thing to do. There's no way of rushing or cutting corners, but it added about nearly 3 months onto the schedule.
We've been here in Rogerstown Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Paddy's Day and today. So it's like a busman's holiday for us. Shouldn't be a hassle from here in. Time constraints now with the boat. They're the best people for doing that job.
I now work with Matty on the skew there, Stratford Moorings from Stratford Lock. We came down last night to carry this stuff out to the island. So yeah, a bit choppy out there today, so it'll be interesting going across. We're happy. If you see us scared, there's a problem.
We've loaded the stills this morning for Lambay. The rest of the stills, the cones and necks, will follow on tomorrow.
Do you have sea legs, Paul?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Matthew, you're going the near side with that trawler.
So we've started the installation of the plant into the distillery building.
Firstly, we put in the fermenters in both areas. Keep pushing. That's it. We put in the cone first. And then we've put in the spirit still.
The act of moving pallets of material from the quay up to the farm and onto the distillery building, it's painstakingly slow. I mean, there's piers and roadways and gates that are sitting here for 120 years, and I certainly don't want to be the guy that knocks any of them. So you just have to take your time. But I guess that's the nature of the place and the project. And as time has passed here, we're kind of getting used to the place and the pace of the island.
Well, I she was made for it.
A few doubtful ones on the measuring tape. You can jack it up a wee bit, Eamon, if you want, but got there in the end. You all right? A man of your age now would be worried. I measured it. It's my fault if it doesn't go in. So I was confident enough it would. Jesus. You're dealing in mil, you're not dealing in inches even. Right, Eamon, go left. That's our game, that's what we do. We good?
It's just brilliant. I mean, you can do your rendering and mock-ups and artist impressions, but when you actually see the still in situ, copper is an ancient material, but it's been fabricated by a young Irish progressive company, and you see the copper in situ surrounded by the walls and beams of the old building. It just works. It's just great to see it. I can't wait to get started.
Everything is in place now to just to kick on and get it finished. No more grey hairs. I had them before I started, so I really can't blame Lambay for that one. So,
over the next 3 to 4 weeks, it's going to be pretty crazy up there as we piece everything together. Welcome to Lambay. We're 1 year after we last walked up this path, I think, and I'm very pleased to say that we are in a situation where we have the distillery on site, and it's literally in the final days and hours of being bolted together. You know, it's my second lambing season after witnessing, so it's nice to see the seasons come and go, and we've worked away on our own little project in the background quietly in the meantime. Well, the first still was put in when you were last year, about 4 weeks ago. There's more to a still room than just the stills. There's the condensers, there's the venting pipes, there's the heat exchangers, there's the spirit tanks. All of those were put in like a very carefully constructed piece of Lego, but built around the central condenser platform. So when you see the building, you'll see how tight it is. But to be quite honest, the plant is absolutely beautiful, and it's set up to make really good whiskey. I think when you see the stills together with the base, the cones, the neck, the line arms, and the condensers, which are quite beautiful as well in the middle, you get a sense of how beautifully put together they are. This is a beautiful island. These are beautiful handcrafted pieces of equipment, Irish made, so they're in their natural home.
it's just the logistics have been crazy. No boats when you needed boats, no access when you needed access, bad weather. You could come out on a Monday morning, be gone Monday evening. The weather changes that badly, and no boats then the rest of the week. It's been an interesting challenge, and as you can see, it's the smallest area we've ever put a distillery in. To make it fit is without being able to take the roof off the building, without, you know, the confines that you had to adjust to. It's a fair achievement.
I'd say we surgically inserted a modern distillery into an old building in a way that I'm confident will work very efficiently and really, really well in terms of what we produce here. So we have cemented Lambay's place on the whisky landscape going forward. We had to put in windows that are fit for purpose, and the building is a protected building, so we had to follow good practice from a conservation point of view in doing so. Things like the type of lime putty that you use to hold the glass in place and the treatment of the timber itself. Any access that we had to create and seal up afterwards, all of that had to be done in a true craftsman manner, but also mindful of best practice from a conservation point of view.
There's no power on the island, which is amazing. Like, this distillery is going to be ran completely off a generator. I don't think there's another one in the country that does that. We are effectively a seasonal distillery. We don't distill during the summer months because we cannot put pressure on the island's resources. We will be running for a couple of weeks. We'll exhaust the stock of grain we've already shipped on the island. We will stop in early June and we'll resume again in late September. One of the nice things about all this is how that the distillery itself will integrate into the island operations and how it functions. For example, the spent grains that we generate when we mash our batches, that's going to be fed to the sheep on the island. That's a nice factor because it means that Lambay doesn't have to bring sheep feed or import that onto the island anymore because we have a ready-made supply ready for them. We'll be recycling heat from the distillery to heat the castle. So that's also an example of these closed loop wins that we intend to pick up that not only leave the island undisturbed, but make a positive impact to the island over time.
I think one of the fascinations about Lambay is it's always been about craftsmanship. When my great-grandparents first visited the island in 1904, they were captivated by the natural history here. They could see that this island in the summer months would be covered with birds, but then they needed to make a home. And this led to the introduction to Edwin Lutyens and the extraordinary restoration and enlargement of the castle here. And every other building that you see, that partnership went on for close on 30 years. And then come forwards to the future, you know, Lambay is a difficult thing to maintain. It's expensive, it's off-grid, every problem from sorting your rubbish to power and energy and getting on and off the island. And we had an approach from Camus Cognac, and this led to an association with the Camus family that has been wonderful because it opens up an opportunity for an economic future for the island with something that has no impact. Everything is hidden away in sheds, and just looking at that distillery squeezed into a tiny space, and inside, when you look at it, you think, how on earth did they even get these stills into the doorway and into this building? I mean, it is a sort of thing of beauty. It's like a puzzle that has been solved, and I think the journey to making this distillery has been incredibly problematic. Difficulties of access, design, and then installing it into such a space. But now what the end result is an extraordinary impact in that it is invisible. You know, when the door is shut and you're not looking through the window, you cannot tell what is hidden away in that building.
I'm really excited to see what the whiskey turns out like, because I've seen what whiskey that has been finished and matured on Lambay. I've seen the impact of the island in the sea cask room and the selection of casks. I've seen what it does to the whiskey, so I can only imagine what it'll do to new make made on that plant, made in Lambay and matured and finished and aged in Lambay. It takes 3 years for it to legally be considered Irish whiskey. So from the summer and autumn of 2028, there will be Lambay Irish whiskey distilled in Lambay, ready for consumption. And you should all be excited to taste it.